our guest is Tim Smith. He's a romance writer, along with mysteries and thrillers. And we welcome him into the Roaming Raven RV community. And I do thank you for taking your time out to take a road trip with us.
Well, thank you. This is, I've given a lot of interviews before, but this is probably the most unique. So that's why I jumped at it when you offered. I thought, well, this sounds like fun. Besides the carpool karaoke thing, didn't Seinfeld do this a few years ago with comedians riding around in cars or something like that?
You know, I think he did.
Yeah, so I remember seeing some clips of that on one of the cable channels.
I didn't watch it, but I do remember my girls talking about it. And what gave me the idea was I saw a YouTube video, and it had the scene where you were driving, which comes from this camera, and then it had the driver and the passenger. And I thought, oh, I can do that. And then after I tried it, I thought maybe I can't do that. It looked a whole lot easier with just watching it. So I thought this would be a wonderful way for me to meet other writers in the different areas I go in, and just a fun way to meet people. So this is my burning question. I know that Lee Underwood, is it Underwood? Greenlee. He used to be one of RWA's leading novelists, but he wrote under a female name. What made you choose romance?
Well, before I published my first flat-out romance, contemporary straight romance, by the way, because I know a lot of you say, "Oh, you're a man writing romance." Well, you must be writing LGBT, gay or male. No, it's straight contemporary, male female, and I'd already had 3 books out in the Mix 7 series with a different publisher that I was not real happy with what they were doing. I was looking around for another publisher, is what it was. And 3 books out. I'm nothing against the first publisher I had. They got me out there, got some great reviews, and got a following built up. But I was becoming disenchanted with them, and I wanted to shop around for something else. Well, I was doing a book festival over in Indianapolis, and at a mall. And besides doing the festival, it was really nice because I got to be the coordinator. Who was a friend of mine. She did a podcast radio thing and had me as a guest a couple of times. Liked my books and asked me to be the keynote speaker that year. This was pretty heavy stuff, So I'm at this book signing the following day at this inside this mall in Indianapolis, and I was doing okay with the books I was selling, but I noticed some of the other tables were getting a lot more attention than I was, bigger crowds. So during one of the breaks, I sauntered over there just to find out, introduce myself. Hey, who are you? What are you selling? Whatever. And they were selling romance. Women writers doing this, independent, self-published, which wasn't as widespread 10, 11 years ago as it is now.
Exactly.
And but they had one of these out there. We did a little book swap, one of mine for one of theirs, whatever. And I took over and read this thing, and I thought, well, it would be fun to write this, but told primarily from the man's perspective. Just something different. Men have romance in our souls too. We just don't. There's a lot of people don't seem to realize that. I traded my Tioga and Bear Club a long time ago. I don't. But so I thought, well, not only could I write this kind of a story from the man's perspective. Nothing against the authors who wrote this book, but I could also write a hell of a lot better. That's what I felt. I found a lot of things in there. It's like, I think this could be really, tweaked a little bit. So I came up with an idea, and idea I had, and out came my first full-fledged romance called Anywhere the Heart Goes. Came out in '09,
and people, I'm going to drop his link in the description below so that you can read that from the male perspective.
And that was when I was looking for a location for that one. I was thinking, well, do I want to go someplace exotic or whatever? And I thought, well, geez, I've lived in Dayton, Ohio for many, many years. What's wrong with setting it here? Which is probably unusual. You think a romance novel set in Dayton, Ohio. Wow, what a concept. but it worked out, and I had to take. It caused me to go all around different landmarks in the Miami Valley and decide and look at it from a fresh perspective. Like the fact, well, I don't live here. Let's say I just hit town, and I'm seeing this for the very first time, like certain other out-of-state locations I go to. And I think, well, this is kind of neat. That's pretty unique. Wow, this is, we should mention this. So that's how I did it. And I followed that formula with about 2 other romance, standalone romance novels I did. After that, just picked Dayton as the setting for it. I thought it would be kind of unique.
You know, I did most of my dates with my husband in Dayton. So,
well, there you go. Yeah.
Romance in Dayton.
in Dayton, Ohio, of all places. Wasn't that difficult to find certain locations to drop scenes, like Riverscape downtown. There's always a lot going on there, and some other places like use like the Crown Plaza Hotel and a couple of restaurants, and a few other landmarks in there, like I do. Whenever I set one of my stories in Key Largo or Sandusky, I'm looking for something that's kind of on the tourist map, but the locals know about it, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I just take that for granted. That's here every day. I see this every day. But I thought, well, you got to write a little travelogue in there, you know, to show people, hey, come down, go check this out.
Now, how long have you been writing?
My first book was published in the spring of '02, so we're 17 years now. I've been writing for a long time before that. Since I retired from my day job about a year and a half ago, and even before that, I made writing. I wanted to make writing my post-retirement career, basically. So I've been freelance writing. I still am, and I'll put in a plug for myself here. I'm looking for paid freelancing work now. If anybody knows anybody who wants somebody who writes fast and cheap on a variety of subjects, here I am. Call me. Because I really am looking around.
Description below.
Yeah. References and samples available upon request. My most recent gigs on that, I spent several years freelancing for a now defunct local newspaper called the Dayton City Paper, which you may have remembered. You may have heard of. It was a weekly arts and entertainment alternative weekly tabloid. And not only did I write for them as a freelance writer, covering just about anything for about 3 years, until shortly before they folded this last year in 2018, I was their managing editor. That was my post-retirement job. And then they went out of business and wrote for a couple of other smaller suburban newspapers, which have also since bit the dust. So I'm not catching a break of any kind here. It's like, you put my name on the masthead, suddenly, oh, we're going out of business. I'm sorry.
Ghostwriting?
I have not yet, but I'm open to it.
Okay. Are you concerned about people stealing your work? In a recent chat I had with a group of new writers, they were really concerned about that.
Yes, just because of the internet and most of my books being out there in a majority of them in ebook format, it's very easy for someone to buy a copy and suddenly post it somewhere else. I know for a while we see something with my publisher's webpage where they'll send something out to the private authors group, Facebook group in there, about, hey, just discovered another pirate website. And I found my book on there. You all better check to be sure if your titles are on there. You can ask them to take it down, you know. And I found a few like that over the years where someone has gotten a copy, a digital copy of my book through whatever site, and decided just to post it up there and give it away. Well, really, bottom line, there's not a hell of a lot you can do about that, except be angry and send them a nasty thing saying, hey, would you please take my book down? Well, whether they do or not, that's out of your control.
Yeah.
So for that, yes, it's very real threat for anybody who e-publishes. And there's always the danger of someone may read a particular passage in there and think, wow, that sounds so good, I'm going to use it in my book.
Don't do that. That's called plagiarism.
That's right. But proving it is, unfortunately, very difficult, unless they just copy it front to back outright, put another name on it and another title, and that's easier to prove. But that's one of the reasons why when I'm actively developing a story or doing and really getting into a story, I don't read that much. Not that I have anything against reading. I'm an avid reader, and I have a stack of favorites, you know, that on my book pile and everything that I'm getting through. But for something like that, I guess I'm a little bit afraid that I may read something that strikes me very, deeply, and not even think about it, and then it may subconsciously wind up in a variation of it wind up in one of my books.
Right.
I don't want that. It's like, it hasn't happened, but it's a fear that I have, that I may read something about one of my favorite authors, like a Tim Dorsey or James W. Hall or Carl Hyacin, and think, wow, you really did a nice description here and everything, and then a month later I don't want to read over my current manuscript and say, boy, this sounds familiar. Did I write that? No. Boy, it sounds awfully much like what I read, like what Nelson DeMille wrote in, The General's Daughter or something.